Alright, welcome to the Kiss FAQ. Today I'm just going to give an overview of Kiss Storm's Las Vegas, or as it's now being rebranded, Kiss Cruise, Landlocked in Vegas. The 2026 edition, the events and schedule has been announced, so it's interesting to see how this compares with the first event hosted on land last year, which had a crazy nights theme attached to it. This year, clearly, from the graphics that they're using, has more of a space theme. And I'll try and keep from rolling my eyes too much as we go through this. But it's being hosted at the Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas. You can go to kisscruisevegas.com for rooms that are maybe still available or packages. I haven't looked to see what's still available and the pricing on that. It's more entertaining for you to find that out yourself if you're interested. What I do know is no matter whether this is the right thing for me, it may be the right thing for you. And certainly from people who attended last year, there were far more positives reported out of the event by people who were there on the ground than there were from the armchair quarterbacks. Now, naturally, the armchair quarterbacks did get a lot of shared material on YouTube to consume and enjoy. And I very much thank the people who took the time to record various events and musical acts during this event, because I got to enjoy it remotely, and for the most part, I enjoyed everything I got to see. So thank you very much as always, and for those people who will be attending in 2026, please focus on yourself, number one, but if you happen to record full events and put them up on YouTube, thank you in advance from the armchair critics, of course. So let's jump in. Again, November the 13th to 15th is pretty much the same time frame as last year, which was the 14th to 16th, so nothing particularly exciting there. So let's jump into day one comparison. So last year, day one was November the 14th. This year, day one will be November the 13th. So let's load up the graphic for the 13th this year. For the 2026 event, it looks like there are going to be three primary venues at the Virgin Hotel detailed. In the far right column, there are additional events that are going on around the hotel and their locations. But the marquee events are what we're most interested in. So kicking off the day, in the lobby is check-in and concierge and gift pickup available from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Over at 24 Oxford, the music and the noise begins at about 2:30. How do you do? The School of Rock will be on board. Oh, there we go, already with the puns, for an hour, followed by a tribute band Rock and Roll Over, well, for a 90-minute set, roughly. And then immediately afterwards, things get going in the Virgin Theatre. From 7 o'clock to 8:15, Kiss are doing their Welcome Toast and Unmasked acoustic set. How does that compare with last year? Just quickly heading over to last year's graphic, most of the things were going on the lawn initially. You had the School of Rock, DJ Noise, the DJ spinning tunes for half an hour, then Kiss Nation tribute band, more DJ Noise to fill the time before the Welcome to Vegas toast, 15 minutes of that, and of course the Kiss acoustic unmasked kickoff. So not a whole lot of change there in terms of what is planned. The toast and the acoustic set last year looked like it was scheduled for about an hour. I don't remember what it ran, but schedules be damned. They're going to go for as long as they want and do what they want and make a lot of noise for them, and maybe they'll do some more. So if they feel good and you feel good, shout it out loud. All right, so back to the Virgin Theatre this year. It looks like they've scheduled about an hour and 15 for the toast and set, so roughly the same as last year. And then it gets straight into music and live entertainment. That's going to be, I believe, a Friday night. So you're going to have Faster Pussycat essentially opening for Slaughter. Two fantastic acts. I loved Faster Pussycat for the first couple of albums in particular. Back in the day, a fun sleaze LA band. Kept babbling on and on and on in the bathroom wall. So Slaughter, of course, I also love. So Mark Slaughter and band are always fun, always put on a good show, are very entertaining. And then over at 24 Oxford, in the late hour or the early hour Saturday morning, Enough's Enough, 12 a.m. through 1 a.m. And some of these other events that are going on the side here. So in the Manor, you've got the Kiss Cruise Vegas merch store. Merch, of course. This is Kiss. This is Pop House. This is normal. Go get your stuff. Wentworth Art Gallery pop-up featuring the art of Paul Stanley. That was fun on Kiss Cruise 8 and very cool to see in person. Regardless of my interest in owning any of Paul's art, it was great to see it. And it was also great to see some people with appointments to go and see the man and buy some art. So that might be right for you. And if not, take a peek and see what Paul's got on offer, if there's anything new that he's painted. Over in the Shag Room, there'll be Kiss Karaoke. That was called out more as a banner item last year in the Skybox in 24 Oxford as an event. Here it's on the side, a little bit more or less of a feature, but it is still present. So if you want to get up and make a fool of yourself and scream your heart out, 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. in the Shag Room. And then the casino late night DJ will also be spitting tunes. I don't know who it is. And photo opportunities, memorabilia, and more. So kisscruisevegas.com. Let's bump over to day 2 and see how things stack up of this year versus last year. So Saturday, November the 15th last year, Saturday, November the 14th this year. So let's kick off in the ballroom where the day seems to get started. Pop House will be hosting a Future of Kiss symposium. And that sounds like it's going to be a mix of monologue, which I thoroughly agree with, and hopefully Q&A. So folks will get to ask some of the questions of where Pop House is. If it's not already obvious, Pop House is really taking control of things now, and things are moving and things are happening, and it's all good. It takes time for an ownership to establish what they want to do with what they've got. So exciting times to see where things are going. School of Rock is back on 24 Oxford at 1:45 to 2:45. Well, going back to the ballroom, which is earlier, even if the blocks are a little bit out of place in terms of time frames. Gene Simmons' private Kiss collection show and tell. That sounds like buy a bass, get an insult for free. Yeah, Gene is Gene. So an hour there, followed by Tommy Thayer's Kiss Army Live Band Karaoke. So Tommy will be hosting some shenanigans with the Kiss Army Live Band. Sounds like that'll be fun if that's your thing. And then back over to 24 Oxford, you've got the School of Rock again for another hour. Concurrently going on will be the artist meet and greets. So presumably Enough's Enough, Slaughter, Faster Pussycat, and I don't know if the other bands that I haven't mentioned yet are also in there at 2 to 3, but sounds like that's an autograph opportunity, maybe to buy some of their merch. This one's a cool one, and this is a good contrast with last year and some of the things that were going on 2:45 to 3:45 in the 24 Oxford, whatever location, is a conversation with Kevin Valentine, Psycho Circus drummer. Yeah, what about Hot in the Shade, eh? And didn't he do some of Revenge? I know he was doing demos back in the day, but I lose track of his relationship when I'm going off the cuff. So check it out. I mean, that's a cool one. So a very cool guest to add to the lineup this year. And then you get into the Kiss Q&A, 5:30 to 6:30. So Eric Singer participating this year, and will all of them get to speak? Well, I guess you got to go to find out, or wait for someone to share on YouTube. Following up the Q&A, the marquee event again in the Virgin Theatre is the live entertainment. 7 to 8 o'clock will be the Metal Cowboy, Ronnie Lee Keel. No, Ron Keel obviously has a long relationship with Gene Simmons, so his band will be putting on their set for an hour, followed by the Ace Frehley All-Star Tribute. They did kind of a side event last year, and it was very raw for obvious reasons. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. And again, all the space theme seems to be being built around the Ace. And I don't think anyone can complain with that necessarily. Have to wait and see how it's implemented. And then, of course, 90 minutes 10 p.m. to 11:30, Bruce Kulick Band. And that would be, again, the one I look forward to probably the most in many ways, because Bruce continues to carry that banner aloft for his era, and his era should never be forgotten, even if it's the original four, the founding four, that matter the most in terms of the makeup legacy and the pop culture value of the band. The 80s are still equally valid to me as a fan. So check it out. Bruce always does something fun, and he always does a great job in honoring that era of his band. And then closing out the day at 24 Oxford is Rock and Roll Over from 12 to 1 a.m. And again, side events on here are, again, much the same. The merch store, the pop-up art, Kiss karaoke, late night, DJ, and other stuff. So you'll have to, if you're going, hopefully you'll get information about what was scheduled. Now, last year on Saturday, Paul did cooking with Paul Stanley plus Live to Win. You had the Future of Kiss hosted by Doc McGee. You had the Kiss Founders panel with Bill and Jay. The Kiss Army and toys and comics that made Kiss. The Lookalike contest. The pick throwing contest. Thayer St. James debut new music. Well, I don't think they have any new music to debut this year. That's a shame, guys. Come on. School of Rock, Mr. Speed, Kiss Trivia, and then that night was Quarantine with Sebastian Bach and the Electric Kiss set. And this is one thing that I will take issue with, and I don't know if people will agree or not, but it looks like the Electric set is going to be on the Sunday night, the final night of the event. And I don't know how good sense in terms of logistics that makes for people who may be needing to get out of town. So we'll have to see how that works out, and whether that, again, all schedules are subject to change. Let's get into the final day for Sunday, November the 15th of Landlocked in Vegas 26. Barry Levine, he was at an event recently for the Paul, I think it was the Paul Stanley weekend, and photographer, incredible photographer. So he'll be doing a panel 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. followed by Ask Doc McGee. You're not asking Doc McGee about the future of Kiss now. Pop House controls that, but Doc McGee is still got his little chubby fingers in the pie. So 10:45 to 11:45, you get to ask Doc McGee what is vetted as acceptable to ask Doc McGee. So moving on, the Lookalike contest is certainly back, followed by Eric Singer's Kiss Cruiser Drum Off and Q&A. That is cool. That is good. That is fun. Eric Singer hosts a really fun drum off. And there's Paul Stanley's Kiss Cook-Off. So if you thought that there wasn't going to be some cooking involving Paul Stanley, I got a question for Paul Stanley right now. Where is the Paul Stanley cookbook? Seriously, I think that could be fun, spiced with some life vignettes, with some other life-worthy information, and some cooking and some nice photography of cooking. It could actually be a fun, not too serious, cookbook. But that's my taste. As a fan of Nigella, why not Paul? All right, so there's more meet and greets going on in the ballroom as well with the artist. Back over to 24 Oxford, you get the School of Rock again, and a very late night, 12 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. will be Rock and Roll Over once again. So that's deep into the Monday morning. Closing out the event in the Virgin Theatre, Quarantine will be opening for Night Ranger. And Night Ranger has a long history with Kiss, and really good band. Very worthwhile. If you've never seen them, it'll be a great opportunity to see a fantastic act that goes all the way back 40 plus years now with Kiss. And then you get the 10:15 to 11:45 p.m. Kiss Electric Unmasked set. Looks like they've got that scheduled for about 90 minutes. But again, the timing of that late on a Sunday night, it may mess up people's travel plans, or maybe that is the plan, to get them to spend some more time in Vegas. Again, this is a tie-in with a Vegas hotel. If you really want to, you can go and Google all of what's going on in Las Vegas economically currently. But comparing with last year you had conversation with Bruce Kulick, Chris Jericho, and Bob Ezrin. You had the Kiss Army podcast panels going on. Ask Doc, comedy with Craig Gass, Name That Lick with Tommy Thayer, Mr. Speed, Kiss Connect, School of Rock Band, Through the Lens, the photographer. So we are swapping Lynn Goldsmith and upgrading in some ways to Barry Levine this year. You had the Kiss Q&A last year, Bruce Kulick, and then Black and Blue. So there's a few things that aren't going on in terms of panels. They had Eddie Kramer last year as well on one of the panels. So it seems that things have been pruned down slightly, or maybe it just feels that way with how they've been distributed throughout the 3 days. I think for the most part, the things that matter, the things that probably worked the best or had the most positive feedback, are the things that are being repeated. Now, the things that perhaps did not get the best feedback or the best reception, or simply didn't work out the best for one reason or another, are no longer present. Or maybe it was just time for a change with some things. Certainly in terms of the value, it seems that it's pretty equivalent to last year. I'm sure someone will find something to nitpick over, but just looking at the schedules as such as they sit today, it looks like they're trying to put together a pretty well balanced and broadly distributed event for those who choose to participate. All right, that's it. If you want more information about pricing, kisscruisevegas.com. No doubt if you actually purchase a package, you'll end up on a mailing list and hopefully get lots of updates and other things to keep you invested and entertained before the November date. That's it. Oh, look, you're still here, watching or listening. We're not sponsored, monetized, or supervised. We're only in this for subs and likes and kicks. So why don't you mash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about today's episode.